Welcome to our weekly maritime video blog. I'm Corey Ransom with International Maritime Security Associates. This week we're talking Cuba. As you know, on our video blog in the past, we've talked about large yachts and the travel to Cuba. So we thought we would do a follow-up to that and bring in an expert. This is Michael Moore with Moore & Company. In my opinion, I think one of the best maritime law firms that we have the opportunity to really know for a long time and to work with. But these guys are very unique in that they have a pretty deep bench of expertise for understanding the nuances and the logistics of being able to take your yacht or your vessel down to Cuba. So we thought this would be a great follow-up to our last episode, and we will put a link to that down in the comments section below if you didn't see our kind of entry point and brief overview on Cuba, so you kind of have an understanding. But regulations over the past couple of years, Michael, I know have changed quite a bit and slowly starting to open up the ability for vessels to be able to travel from the United States to Cuba. I remember when I was in the Coast Guard, we dealt with vessels that were looking to get the permits to go from the United States to Cuba. And it's a lot different for a vessel than to go on a common carrier aircraft.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit, I guess, give us an overview about what you guys do and how you guys get involved in the process is kind of our starting point.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, we've loved Cuba from the beginning. And then the beginning, as we define it, was December of 2014 when President Obama announced that he wanted to open up trade with Cuba or travel to Cuba. So we didn't really, at that time, we watched that, but it was frankly not until August of 2015 that we were asked to facilitate travel to Cuba. Was it legal? How do you make it legal? And all the issues related to travel to Cuba. Since that time, we've done over 260 yachts and traveled to Cuba. And what we do is the legal overlay as Moore & Company is the way it's working now is, of course, through the internet. The fact that we have happy clients and things on the internet, we get calls on a regular basis from clients who wish to go to Cuba and make sure they're legal in all respects. And this is where our law firm comes in. We always make sure that the travel to Cuba is legal. It's not difficult. It's one of those things that if you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy. You have to comply with 3 governmental entities. You have to comply with the Department of Commerce, Department of Treasury, and Department of Homeland Security. You do have to be compliant with all 3, but the only permits you actually have are through Homeland Security. You get a permit to enter Cuban waters. It basically works like this: the permitting and so forth on this side, in the United States side, we get that done. We make sure that every vessel is properly insured. We make sure that they have complied in all respects with the Department of the United States of America's rules. We generally do that by hooking up the travelers to a legitimate 501c3. The one that we use is the International Seakeepers Society, because it's an environmental charity and it has created environmental itineraries. It can create one for you depending on how much time and where you want to go to protect the waters of Cuba, to help improve the waters of Cuba. So it's a true orientation toward environmentalism to make Cuba a better place than it is today. The Cuban receptors are a vital part of what we're talking about here. These are the local people that actually know what they're doing. I mean, in a first world context, they would, you might call them tour guides or something. You might have somebody, but it's just more important in Cuba because we get it all the time. Do I need licenses to fish? Do I need licenses to scuba dive, to fly drones, to put my submersibles in the water, to use a helicopter? All these things that are kind of, in some ways, kind of unique to the yacht world. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the person on the ground in Cuba that knows what they're doing, you can be in a world of bureaucratic trouble very, very quickly.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to just chat with us about the process. One of the things that Michael did mention was the International Seakeeper Society. We could probably do a whole video blog just on that, but we'll put a link to the International Seakeeper Society. There's some really cool environmental things that this organization as a nonprofit is involved in. And maybe we'll do that next another time, is to come back and talk about the Seakeeper Society and what they do. But just a really interesting nonprofit that works in ocean preservation, and there's some really interesting things that I've known about seakeepers for a long time and have seen an interesting evolution. So we'll make sure we link that below.
Wonderful.
We just really appreciate your time, and there'll also
pleasure.
be, like I said, a link to Michael's company if you have questions about travel to Cuba, whether it's on a vessel or by air. These guys are definitely the experts that can help facilitate that. So we just appreciate your time, Michael, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us this week on the video blog. We invite you to subscribe to this channel so you get notified when we post new videos. Also, make sure you hit that like button for all the videos you like. Connect to us and join the conversation through our social media, detailed in the banner above and also in the comments section below. If there's anything that we can do for you from a company perspective, for maritime security, maritime risk management, or regulatory compliance, don't hesitate to reach out to us, because we're always happy to steer you in the right direction.